Let's go. Clap it up. We back. Fellas, what's up? We here for our second, episode of this, man. This is live.
Right.
I'm extremely excited. So Husbandhood. Husbandhood is a husbandhood podcast. Let me take that back. Let me start over. Let me do that. Husbandhood is a platform created by husbands for husbands to create a sense of community amongst husbands. Yes, I think, like I said, always, the way this was birthed, I was looking for something like this myself, and all I saw was husbands pouring back into single men, which is cool. You know, you're helping people, give them like kind of some kind of synopsis of what husbandhood would be like once you're there. Mm-hmm. But what about the husbands that are in it?
Man, I love it.
That needs that, you know what I mean?
I love the precept, man.
Yeah.
We need it. We need our own support.
Yeah, and we need it. And I mean, we need the diversity too. You know what I mean? Like, we need older husbands to talk to younger husbands, but we need seasoned husbands, right? Because seasoned don't have an age on it. It just really say like, yo, I just been in it longer than you. You know what I mean? Just say, hey, look, I can help you. So that's the goal, and I pray that this helps husbands. So that said, I want to start with furthest to my left, as always. I want to start with introducing my brother. He was the best man in my wedding. He's always been a very, very close friend of mine. And this is a brother that I can call. He'd be like, "What's up, bro? What's up, bro? What you good? You good?" He influenced me to join the F-150 club. So shout out to no other than Dr. Michael Anthony Hicks Jr. If you want a motivational moment with Dr. Michael Anthony Hicks Jr.,
yes, sir.
Make sure you follow my boy on Instagram, and you'll see what's up with him. So shout out to Mike. I want to lift him up. Say what's up to the people. Mike.
What's up?
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, man. Let me tell you something. Two brothers from Pleasant Grove not supposed to look this good. I promise.
Come on.
We in a whole different lane right now.
I always need lotion.
You know what I'm saying? But man, it's kind of cool, man, because you know me and D been knowing each other since we were like 9, 10 years old.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so you know we seen each other be boys and became boys. And we've seen each other become men, and now we are husbands. And it's kind of crazy how God fits things and how God works, because, you know, he's been the best man in my wedding. I've been the best man in his wedding. So it's kind of like we're on assignment for each other. So that's why we have that.
Oh, man, don't start. Okay, hold on. You finna start something.
I'm just saying.
I got to introduce these two people, Mike.
Man, I know. But it's kind of crazy because the person to the right of me who you're about to introduce, I've been knowing him longer than I've been knowing you.
Right. So with that being said, I want to shoot. Like, you know, before Steph Curry was shooting out the gym, Kevin Hayden was shooting out the gym. Like, facts. You know, McDonald's All-American nominee. Like, one of the top point guards in the country.
Facts.
I only beat him a couple times shooting.
I ain't never beat him.
Coach Donnell said his father, he said, yeah, I think Brickhead got you, you know, and I don't know why he said that. But anywho, you know, my dog Kevin, he was also one of my groomsmen in my wedding. I was one of his, and he's a hell of a father, brother. We laugh and we joke. This is my Instagram DM partner. We send these we send these all the humor that we love. Like, but without further ado, it's my brother Kevin Hayden, man. Say what's up, man.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. Like we all been knowing each other for a while, man. Yeah. I've been knowing Brick since 9th grade, you know, but technically 7th grade, because it was more of a rivals become idols type of thing. Yeah. You know, and like I said, when we kicked it off, you know, we became brothers. We always been tight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like getting in trouble together. Yeah, bro. I'll share that story later. But anywho, so then I also want to introduce my man that's right next to me, man, who's been like, I'm the little brother to the big brother. Man, just, you know, I said this about another brother that was on here, man, but operating in spirit and in truth. Always honor, like, you know what I mean? Always looked out. And he's always forward thinking, like, and it's always to have somebody that's good, that's close to you, that's forward thinking for you. Oh, man, you need a headshot. Nope. You need to know where you're going. Oh, you need this. Oh, you need that. And excellent, oh my gosh, dope Dopeness is his. He should have a shirt called Dopeness.
I'm gonna get that tomorrow. I will be rocking that.
Dopeness,
tomorrow.
like in the flesh, one and only.
Drippy with it.
Pastor.
Pastor.
Not pastor. Pastor.
Drippy pastor.
Yeah.
Drippy
So Derek
pastor.
Raphael, man, say something. What's up?
What up, family? What
Yeah,
up?
what up,
And
what
shout
up?
out to the. I guess I'm the newest part of the crew. Y'all been knowing each other from PG.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's only
yeah.
been about 8.
Yeah.
about 8 years,
Yeah. So, man, let's jump right in, man. So, man, there's so many things to talk about in being a husband. Like, so what has been one of your, like things, like barriers you've had to overcome or just acknowledge that you need to work on in just you being a husband in your marriage?
Ooh.
I'll go first. One of the things that I feel that I had to work on in my marriage is understanding that your parents' marriage is not your marriage.
Come on, bro.
You see what I'm saying? So
Come
the
on.
things that you saw growing up, some of them apply and then some of them don't apply.
Wow.
And you have to fit yourself into what your marriage actually is. Then another thing I had to figure out was death to self, right?
Yeah.
The expectations that you had before you got married and then the realization of what you're going through while you're married is two different things.
Yeah.
You might have thought before you got married, maybe you waited to have sex. You maybe went celibate or whatever the case may be, or you had a lot of sex before you got married. Or you just thought your wife was just going to cook, clean, do all this other crazy stuff that you had thought up in your head before you got married, and then boom, you got married for real.
Yeah.
And then you sitting there to yourself like, is
And
this what-
reality set in.
that reality set in, and you're like, dang, is this what marriage really is? And it's not a bad thing that you said that to yourself. It's more so, oh man, I got to come back to real life now.
Yeah.
And
And
I gotta
redefine it.
And redefine
Redefine.
what
Yeah, yeah,
marriage,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
what
yeah.
my marriage is, because
Right.
everybody's marriage is going to be different. So what is my marriage? You know what I'm saying?
Ah.
And that was just one of the things that I had to figure out and navigate, like, what is my responsibility
Yeah.
in my marriage?
And what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like you're saying you got to allow your marriage to evolve into its own identity.
Yes.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
You have to let
Yeah.
it not only evolve, but you have to learn from each other's experiences.
That's
right?
good.
Because
Yep.
what you think you're marrying, you're not marrying. Like, you're standing in front of everybody saying, "Oh yeah, yes I do, and we gonna do this, and I'm gonna love her, I'm gonna honor her, I'm gonna do all these different things," and then she don't know she marrying the 16-year-old you.
Yeah.
The 15-year-old
Yeah.
you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Stuff about you that you really haven't even conquered yet. You know what I'm saying? So now you having to put death to self and stuff that you man, when I thought as a child, I was a child. But now that I'm a grown man, I got to put some of this childish stuff away so I can be the best version of myself for them.
Right. I hear that, man. I think one of the, and then we can just flow. I just encourage us all to flow, man. Thinking about that, I had to confront as a husband who in my mind, the ideal wife in my mind is, like who that person is and who I'm actually married. You know what I mean? Like my ideal version of a wife was put together from all these different, you know what I mean?
Preconceived notions, what you saw on
notions,
television.
what you saw, you know what
You
I
know?
mean? Yeah. So it was like, why am I trying to like press this on this woman and not love her? It didn't allow me to love her in the way that she deserved to be loved.
Right.
I was trying to, in so
Fit her
many ways,
into a box
yes,
that you
yeah,
already
yeah.
And then it's funny that you say that, man, because it's kind of like you cannot expect, and this is what I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to hurt. You cannot expect one woman to be 15 women.
Okay, so hold on. Yes, absolutely right.
Because
Yeah.
you got,
Yeah.
if you try to put a combination of the perfect woman, which most of us do before we get married, right? We think that she is going to be perfect. She's perfect. She's right for me. She's beautiful. She's everything. And it's like, you gathered that information and these thoughts in your head from 15 different other women on top of your mama.
I pose a question.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So my question is this: with what you just said, right? How did that question come about in your head?
Oh.
So the question came
for it.
about in my head. It's like, how am I really, what expectations are I putting on my wife or I'm putting unrealistic expectations on my wife. And that's the question that made me say, wait a minute, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm trying to pull pieces of my life inside of my wife that are not even realistic, and what she can't even, not that she can't do it, but why I'm gonna force her to try to do something that she's not, right? And I'm not trying to put my wife into a box that she doesn't even fit in, that's not made for her.
Right. You know, the interesting thing about that, though, most time we come into that clarity after conflict, though. Because so now
I did it before conflict.
Yeah. Okay,
I did it kind of like we got married, and then that first year is kind of like, it ain't conflict, but it's not all easy either, because you both are learning with each other, because we never stayed together. This is our first time, having intercourse with one another. This is our first time talking about finances. This is of course we had marriage counseling and
but real life
situations.
Yeah.
So that's when you start saying, oh, wait a minute, babe, my fault.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
See,
you know what I'm saying?
Part of my issue from the original question was that I went into almost like the fairy tale analogy of what I thought what love was, right? Mm-hmm. My biggest issue is that I was not loving the way I supposed to be based on what the word of God is, right? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of this, the emotional side, how we did. And then when you look at the discovery through the marriage is that love is a discipline, flat out, that it's a discipline. It really put things in perspective, because I think I was more emotionalized, and that's the last thing we want is being men, to just be emotional men. Yeah. But when you operate under the precept that love is this big emotion, you always in your feelings. Mm-hmm. And then when I started growing through the marriage and understood that love is patient, love is kind, and you go through 16 characters of it, it's all discipline, all decision making. And so what it did, it made me a better husband in that perspective, because then now I know how to, understanding that we in this thing, yeah, and it didn't get messed up overnight. It ain't gonna get fixed overnight. But how I operated in the disciplines of love changed everything.
But I do think your point is right. I learned that from conflict. I learned when things got real kind of tense in the house, like, who am I really trying to make her be? You know what I mean?
And then so the conflict promotes communication. Yeah. Communication promotes clarity. Yeah. And then clarity promotes correction. Right. Mm-hmm. And so next thing now we operating better.
Yeah, and conflict could actually
it be a good thing.
It can be a great thing.
And that's what I was gonna say.
You know
a lot of times you think that not having any conflict in your marriage is good, and you're just putting stuff underneath the rug, and then it blows up. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's nah, baby, we need to talk about this now. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or talk about it in a safe. Like for me, it was more so, let's talk about it when we're alone by ourselves in the bed. Like that was our best time to get through conflict.
I ain't trying to talk in the bed.
You trying to do some other, but no, it's more relaxed. It was more so relaxing, bro, in the bed than it was for me to be. Because if I'm up and she up at the same time, you trying to squeaky?
I'm trying to squeaky.
I'm not trying to man, Mike. Yeah, but guess what? It's
you also still in your 30s. You right. Wait till you get to 50s like me. I'm trying to talk.
But guess what?
I'm joking. That dang, we could talk, Ashley.
But after the conflict, though, the squeaky is better.
That's real. I don't know, Mike.
It is. Bro, after the conflict, the squeaky is better.
I don't know. Sometimes she'll give you some of that side booty. You know what I'm saying? That little side booty. Like,
she's still mad at you. Like, go to get it. You didn't tell the truth.
You didn't tell the truth with the side booty.
She mad at you.
No,
that's all right. She's still blessing you.
Yeah, she blessed this game.
She's still blessing you, though. No. All fun, man. But no, really, though, I think you're right, though, Mike. I think, like, the communication, like, I learned from the we all from the hood. This concept of conversation rules the nation. Right. You know what I'm saying? But just in theory, like this idea that when you communicate, I think over time what happens is safety happens. Mm-hmm. Like your wife feels safe.
That has to be intentional, though.
Yeah, that has to be intentional.
Because even if a brother and we having a conversation and I'm sitting over there and I'm looking at all this and I'm emoting without saying any words, don't put her in a safe place. You have to control. Yeah. One of the biggest things that I learned in my marriage is that I have to be the thermostat. Yeah. That she's the thermometer.
You're the gauge.
You're right. So she running in hot. I'm coming in cooling things off. Right. She coming in cold, I had to warm it up. Yeah. But I think what a lot of men have done in the past is let their wife or their woman control what type of energy was in the room. And you can never do that.
Come on. Right? Come on. Yeah. I'm with that.
Because you have to come in and level everything off. And so far, the part of the conversation is you got to create safe spaces. That's your Garden of Eden, and you control all of that. Yeah. So, you got to just make sure that you not, again, with one of those emotional brothers that's running in here and looking crazy and making everybody in the room feel tense.
Mm-hmm. Man, you set the tone of your house, bro. You do, bro. Like, as a husband, you set the tone, bro. And you gotta maintain that. Like, you gotta know that you set, like, as a quarterback, like when I played quarterback, if I came to the huddle, all right, y'all, we're gonna run hold on, y'all. What's the play again? Everybody gonna be like, who is that? Yeah. But if I come to the huddle, all right, we got right ace. Hey, you running this, you running that, you running this, you running that. Hey, you gonna get open, beat him. Let's go. Boom. Like, it's just, they be like, all right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And even when me and Kevin was playing, we grew up playing on the same team in basketball. Like, when Kevin would be like, man, let's go. Like, okay, let's go. Like, we said, but a tempo has been set at some level, like, of excellency. You know what I mean? Like, and you like, hey, look,
Yeah, one of the things that my wife was always, we both had been married prior to this marriage. Yeah. But sort of the I guess the residue of the last relationship, that he was so confrontational. She don't want to talk about it. Right. When everything felt tense, she'll and so, man, I had to relearn how to communicate because I'm a little expressive like this. I had to put my hands down. I had to stay separate. So you said what? So let me get this right. I had to change the way I communicated to best fit my wife. Right.
Right.
And so I had to cater it. It was a custom.
True story. My wife is a doctor too. Like, she's a doctor of education too. My wife is whatever a boss is supposed to be in this work. She is. Mm-hmm. But she also has vulnerable moments too, right? Yeah. But the way I have to talk to my wife is totally different than anybody else's conversation I have in life, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I want to speak on alpha women. Go ahead. Speaking on alpha women, how do you approach an alpha woman when there is a confrontation, or if there is like some type of...
So for me, Kevin, I wouldn't, because I don't do the whole alpha and all this type of stuff. I just think women that are just strong-hearted in nature, bold, and they go out and get things done, right? Yeah. Because in their life, they're going out there they're accomplishing missions that some men ain't even accomplished in their career. Yeah. But when they come home, they're still our wives. And so sometimes they have to leave that at the door and come in like, oh, I'm a wife now. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it takes a different conversation to be had in order for that guard to be down, like, oh, my bad, babe, I was tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how she is with me, and it's a confrontation, not confrontation, but we have to have a different conversation. Like, I'm not yelling and screaming at my wife.
Right.
We're not cussing at each other.
That's something that I had to learn.
Yeah, we're not cussing at each other. We're not calling each other out of our names and doing all that crazy stuff. We're having an adult conversation, and it might be in a disagreement, but it's still in an adult form and a safe form, because what you don't want her to do is not be able to come to you
and trust you.
You set an environment to where she don't even feel comfortable telling you things about herself that she's going through, and she's going to forever change. You know what I'm saying? She's going to forever change, and she don't feel like she can come to you and talk. She gonna talk outside of the marriage, and then what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So some other person besides you is gonna know more information about your wife, and I'm not talking about another man. It could be a family member. It could be somebody else that knows more information about your wife than you do, because she didn't feel comfortable coming to you.
Well, the one thing I would say about that, how you do it, because I still believe in the law of attraction. You attract who you are.
Right.
So you saying about an alpha man, you probably got an alpha female. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So, it's simply, I would give out what I want to receive. That's the law, the mutable law of God. You reap what you sow. Right. So if you sow in disrespect, well, guess what you're going to get back?
Disrespect.
You ain't sow, but if you sow love, one of the things I tell you about the discipline of love, right? It's not ironic or by happenstance that the first movement of love, God told us to be patient. Flat out. He could have picked the other 16, other 15 in there. The first one he uses is be patient. And, out the gate, that's the first thing. I'm just listening. All guard is down, and I'm just let it flow and let it, just set the tone for it.
Yeah, man. I believe in patience all the time. My wife say I have too much patience. Even with things, she's like, babe, you just have too much patience. I don't know how you deal with this. And it's like, babe, I have to do that because I'm setting an example for everybody to feel comfortable around me. And like you said, you the gauge of your house.
Right.
So if nobody feel comfortable, you supposed to be also the lamb of your house. It's cool to be a lion in the world and go attack and go get things and accomplish things in your work world. But when you come home, you supposed to, when daddy's home.
Okay, let me do this thing.
Everybody, what I'm saying? Everybody's supposed to be comfortable when the man is in the house.
Tell me, if you don't mind, one of the best things or nugget that you can offer me, even, being an OG status, that you learn from your marriage, how to respond or, give me something and I can.
Yeah, so for me, I would say the culture of agreement. The Bible talks about agreement. You know what I mean?
How can two travel together unless they are in agreement?
Agreement. And when you start to unpack agreement and what it takes to agree with your wife.
No, don't do that, dog. Don't start that. I already know what you're going through. I already know how it's defined.
But no, I'm saying I know how it's defined, right? But at the end of the day, what does that look like for you in your house? Because for me, when we was talking about these particular cues or triggers for our wives, and I mean, it's a whole nother thing being with a wife who's been previously traumatized from a relational perspective, and you're having to learn like what her triggers are and what you can and can't do, because you don't want to trigger her. You want her to still feel safe. Right. I think that's one of those things that we want to do. So I think even just getting into to a point of agreement, I know if I'm going to communicate with her, what I would suggest is learning her language. Right. Learning her language, meaning, okay, what tone? Like for my wife, I can't come at my wife like, hey baby, what you doing? Like, even, I mean, she would, like, my wife goes into another space. Now, she's from Fort Worth, Forest Hill, to be exact. And
she ain't ready for all that.
She ain't ready for all that. I'm like, yo, like, okay, hold on, baby. I didn't mean it like that. What I was saying, I was just passionate when I was telling you what I was telling you. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? It's like learning her language, and it's taking me time to really learn her language.
But to your point, agreement.
Yeah,
it means submission.
I'm willing to agree with you to say, hey, maybe I overstepped a little bit, even if I didn't. Even if I did it unconsciously, I'm willing to operate in humility, and because at the end of the day, I'm there. Pastor T. One of the things I've learned from Pastor T is a husband anticipates her needs, like. He and we went through an amazing roof series, and that was one of the things I learned. But and we're coming to an end here, but I got to be real clear here. But let me anticipate her needs so that I can ultimately get to a place of agreement, because I know that God blesses agreement.
Yeah.
Like God blesses agreement. He's able to take that to the next level. So I do think that if you can just get to that place of agreement with your wife and actually do the work, you may learn a whole lot of things. Just get into
not only learn. I share this one. This is my favorite scripture in the Bible. It's Matthew 18 and 19, right? Yep. I use it. It is the power of partnership. If two or more come together in agreement and ask anything in the Father's name, it will be done for them in heaven.
Yep.
The problem with that, communication styles are so, it's so hard sometimes that you break down. You can't properly communicate to your wife, meaning that I can't come into an agreement with it, meaning I'm not going to submit into it, and then you never see heaven unlocked. You never get we're supposed to have heaven on earth. And in that one verse, man, everything, especially between a man and a wife, man, everything is possible. And I can get everything from heaven because I'm standing on that promise. But it has to be activated in our agreement.
Yeah. And so let's close this, man, from this conversation, right? I know that's her husband listen. And I know he's got a bunch of Jews from us, you know what I'm saying? But what would be just one nugget that you would give a husband to put him on game? This is your opportunity to put a husband on game. real quick, in your quickest way, how would you put them on game? We'll
become a servant. Stop being self-centered, and then you give self.
My nugget would be to plan everything.
Ooh,
you know,
come on.
If you was to get into a confrontation, like y'all was saying with the agreement, take a step back, think about it, plan it all out. Tell her what you feeling at the time. Y'all talk about it, lay it, like everything out on the table, and just keep it pushing, man.
Hey, man.
Literally, like planning not to get emotional too.
Right. You plan it. Yeah, you plan
That's
it.
right. Yeah.
I think the nugget I would give, man, is do everything with her out of love, man. I think sometimes you forget how much you really, really love her.
Yep, that part.
You know what I'm saying? You get thrown off into your duties as a man. She get thrown off into her duties, and then you going back and forth. Like, come into the whole situation with love. Even if it's a disagreement or argument or anything like that, like, humble yourself so you can be able to understand where she's coming from. Don't just think your way is the only way. You know what I'm saying? So that'll be my nugget side.
So my last nugget outside of the 10-piece nugget, the number 5 at McDonald's, Ocho versus Science.
By the way.
Yeah, unfortunately I know that. But I asked, and this is a nugget that I'm actually going to borrow. I asked a guy, I'm in the process of writing a book to husbands. But that said, I asked a man who's been married 50 years. 50 years. I said, what would be the advice that you would give a husband? And one day I'm going to have him on here. But he's told me, he said, forgive quick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Man.
Forgive quick. My nugget is to you guys, forgive quick. The longer you hold on to stuff, woo, man.
I love that.
Man, like, the longer you hold on to stuff.
Because I need that T-shirt, #petty. That's
Come on, hashtag petty. The more petty you going to be. So this has been another episode of Husbandhood. Man, I hope this blessed you. Please, always feel free to email us, talk to us at husbandhoodpodcast.com. And I'm excited. So shout out to all these brothers. Hey, they'll be back. We're going to flow some more. Until next time.
Peace, y'all.